Derek, thank you so much for being here. I was just speaking with Joy Reid about the events of today. When the decision in the Breonna Taylor case was announced, walk me through your first reaction.
Well, unfortunately, I was not expecting a positive decision. And that's a bad commentary for many of us. I don't know of any African Americans who thought it would be a good decision. But when we heard the outcome, it was even more unfortunate because it did not address the fact that Breonna Taylor was killed. The only one charge of the three officers, and it was for shooting into another dwelling. Uh, that type of we shouldn't have that level of expectation out of our judicial system.
What were you hoping to see happen today?
That finally justice would include all of us. Here's a woman who was in her apartment. There was no allegations of wrongdoing. She was sleeping in her bed, and her doors kicked in, and police ultimately killed her. Uh, just think about that. Can you imagine if that was your daughter, your wife, your loved one? Take out the question of race. How would you feel in this moment? That is the reality that far too many African Americans face in this country today.
Why do you think that they reached this decision?
You know, because we have this grand jury system, it's an archaic system. It is, we have no concept what evidence were presented to the grand jury because it's a secret process. We don't know how vigorous this special attorney pursued the case. Far too often, district attorneys and state attorneys are too cozy with law enforcement agencies, and the value of the life of the person taken is at stake. And so, unfortunately, we don't know what was said or not said, what evidence was withheld. We do know that an innocent person sleeping in her bed, not causing any harm, was murdered at the hands of law enforcement officers.
A lot of people are angry today and looking for someone to point the finger at. Who would you say who would you be pointing at right now?
I think we should be pointing forward. How do we change this reality? This is something as Americans we should not tolerate. This is all baked into public policy decisions, qualified immunity, the lack of a database of national police misconduct. Many of the things that you nor I would like to see our children confronted with in the future, we must begin to look at this moment. We are at an inflection point in this country. We have to decide, are we going to move into a future that's more just and equitable, or are we going to stay in this perpetual moment of 1930? I suggest that as we look forward, we need to do so with a value proposition that's much different than what we've seen displayed in today's decision.
There's two initiatives that the NAACP are working on. One is hashtag We Are Done Dying. Can you explain what that is about?
We adopted that campaign after the realization of COVID impacting disproportionately African Americans. It is a hashtag campaign where we understand that elections have consequences. We are looking at 2020's unfortunate series of events, which is a result of the 2016 elections. There is no reason this nation, we are leading in the number of deaths as a result of COVID because we were not prepared for this pandemic, and we should have been prepared. There is no reason in this nation that our economic system is on the verge of collapsing because of policy decisions. There is no reason in this nation that we're still dealing with this type of aggressive policing and lawlessness by those who are sworn to uphold and protect us. We're done dying. This is our opportunity to begin to push people towards the polls in November so we can set a different value proposition that Black lives matter. And if Black lives cannot matter, none of our lives matter. And that's not a separate statement. That is saying equal protection under the law should be afforded to all of us. And if we value all of us, that means we all will have a better future.
The late John Lewis said, "Vote like we've never voted before." Is that's it's happening? Yesterday was National Voter Registration Day. Those words mean a lot this election. I know your other initiative is the Power of Five voter outreach.
Yeah. I had the privilege to be on the Edmund Pettus Bridge next to John Lewis when he made those statements with so many other people. And vote like we've never voted before, vote like our lives depend on it, is so true. And he was such a statesperson. He was one who was an ordinary person who did extraordinary things. And he embraced so many people. But his statements are so true. What he marched for in 1965 resonates today. It is the right to cast the ballot. And so we're asking people to join our campaign, that we know that you're voting, but there are 5 people that you know, or there are 5 people we can direct you to get them to the polls. We cannot be a true representative democracy if we allow the forces to suppress votes or to intimidate people from voting, or allow a level of apathy where people feel their vote don't matter. All of our votes matter. Public policy direct the quality of our life. We cannot get to public policy changes if we don't participate.
People are feeling a lot of different emotions today. Is there a wrong way to feel today?
I'm angry. People are depressed. People are in fear. People are confused. People are frustrated at a system that has caused so much harm. You look at the peaceful protests across the country we've seen over the last 3 months. You see America, you see Black, you see white, you see young, you see old, you see male, female. It's all of us who are saying we can do this better. In this moment, this inflection point, how do we look to a future that represents all of us, that allow for a quality of life and a comfort of living that we should all be afforded to, that our labors are valued, and that we can work in harmony, as opposed to a past of 1930 where otherness was so pervasive in this country that the social construct we call race excluded people. You was Irish in Boston, you was excluded in 1930. You was Jewish in many parts of New York, so you was excluded in 1930. We cannot continue to allow a social construct that still in many ways excludes so many African Americans, excludes so many Latinos, to continue to be the norm. We need to be looking forward. So all of the anger, the frustration, let us channel that towards a future. But we have to do it by moving from peaceful protests to power at the ballot box with a value proposition that equal protection under the law should be afforded to all of us. And then once those policymakers are elected, they walk into office implementing public policy to reflect that value proposition. That is the trajectory we should be on, not looking backwards.
Let's make that happen. Derrick Johnson, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Continue to be supportive. Continue the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On and on and on. I said.